Okay, good morning, everyone. Is it too loud? Good morning, everyone. I'm Alice Matimba, and I have my colleague, Michelle Bishop, here. So the work I'm going to present today is his work that has been done by a lot of people. So I'd like to just make that acknowledgement now. So, do I have a... Okay, yeah. Okay, so first I'll tell you a little bit about Wellcome Connecting Science, and just to give you a brief about the pathogen genomics training that we do. And then I will also just talk to you about some of the, how we've applied some of the formats of training that we've developed in Wellcome Connecting Science to respond to the pandemic. So Wellcome Connecting Science we are based at the Wellcome Genome Campus alongside our Wellcome Sanger Institute colleagues, and we have two parts, which is the engagement in society, and we are part of the learning and training program. So for learning and training, we develop training, courses, conferences that are covering a whole breadth of topics in human health, human and environment interaction, and also emerging technologies. The program is based in the Hingston campus. We have people that come there for the residential courses and also conferences. And we also have the global training program where we actually go to Africa, Asia, Latin America, and have regional courses with regional experts there. So just to mention that this program started 35 years ago, and over the last 5 years, we have delivered about 86 conferences, 108 training courses, 17 online MOOCs, and I will talk about some of those, and reaching over 200,000 people. So, what makes our program special? So we try to make sure that whatever we do is, is accessible to as many people in the world as possible. So we want to be able to contribute to capacity building for genomic skills, and through short courses. We're also very interested in making sure that people are able to apply those skills through sort of empowering these scientists through personal development training. We are also always very interested in scoping out needs so that we can make sure that the program has the impact it's supposed to have in the regions. But at the core of all this, and I think this applies to everybody that's here, is how can we make sure that these programs are equitable? How can we make sure that people, they are inclusive, and also thinking about sustainability through various methods of making sure we've got enough trainers. We have partnerships that allow sustainability of the training and capacity building programs. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our pathogen genomics program. So we have together, actually many years ago, with the colleagues at Wellcome Sanger Institute, we started developing a lot of pathogen genomics training, not only in Hingston, but going globally as well. So we've been over time developing short courses, which are usually 1 week long and in person. Over time, we've collaborated with the HRA-BioNet to deliver courses using the geographically distributed classroom model. And also we have developed some massive open online courses, so that's the MOOCs. And we have, again, to address sustainability issues and also really ramping up capacity, we have the Train the Trainer program, where we are upskilling experts or subject matter experts who can then be able to cascade their knowledge to others. Okay, so this is just a list of all the different courses that have are related to pathogen genomics or are sort of like generic genomics, particularly like getting people to use bioinformatic tools. And so what we've done is we've mapped some of these courses against the pipeline of end-to-end process and of genomics analysis and interpretation. And so some of our courses are really spanning right through, and we're continuing to map this so that it's a bit more granular so that we can be able to provide information about which courses are actually covering which steps in the end-to-end process. So as you can see, quite a number of courses are enabling people to be able to do from sample analysis, genomic data all the way to data sharing. And you can see that there are some gaps, and we really want to be able to fill in those gaps with the help of the community so that these courses are really covering the breadth of skills that are needed going forward. So in the Train the Trainer program, we have developing materials that are actually quite integrated. So instead of teaching people the science and then teaching people how to train others, we have developed integrated modules that cover all the different steps in the end-to-end process. So we have a variety of Train the Trainer courses that we've developed. Some of them may be covering only bits, again, of that pipeline. But as you can see, that we're able to offer, different things depending on the different target audiences and the different needs. So we've also been started to provide more dedicated support for communities of practice. So some of the participants that come on our program, we would like to continue to support them post-course. And so we have, at the moment, actually we have an AMR community, African AMR genomics community, where we have people that are coming from over 40 countries. And so we really want to be able to provide the resources and support and dedicated support to make these communities successful. And one of the latest communities that we've been developing is the Cochrane community, which we'll talk about a bit later. So having all this built all this infrastructure and expertise and resources around training and organizing and developing genomics training, we have applied all these different methods to actually run the Cochrane program. So Cochrane is a collaboration with the Wellcome Connecting Science and what was COG UK, although that's not there anymore, and Cambridge University. So we basically wanted to apply all these different formats and strategies for training to respond to the pandemic. So Cochrane is a project to respond to the pandemic for genomic surveillance. So we wanted to develop courses and that would enable people all over the world to access training. And so we had an online courses, which is the MOOCs, as I mentioned earlier. We developed virtual courses and also distributed classrooms. So I'll just go through some of the outcomes of each of those. So with the MOOCs, we had 5 courses, and these courses reached over 15,000 learners in over 140 countries. And as you can see, there are some of the courses actually had more people attending. I guess some of them were very basic, and as they got more specialized, there would be less people. But as you can see, this enabled reaching many people, and we collaborated. All this work was in collaboration with experts from all over the world. So a lot of the work we do, we actually depend on scientists that are based in the UK, but also in Africa, Asia, Latin America. We also then applied the distributed classroom format, and we again reached quite a lot of countries through this method across the different time zones, as you can see. And this ran over 6 weeks, and we had over 300 people attending this from 27 countries. And then we had also at the time developed the virtual courses. These are intense 1 week long courses that was sort of like what we developed as due to the pandemic. And so this is what we were doing when we couldn't do in-person courses. So we also ran the in-person, the virtual intensive 1 week long courses where the content is a little bit more advanced than the other formats. And again, this was run in Latin America and in Asia. And then finally, we wanted to then bring scientists or public health experts to bring them together and to get them to start thinking about how they're going to be implementing genomics in their institutions. So this was actually a very big collaboration. So we had 20 experts, mostly from Africa and from all these organizations that you can see down there. And we wanted to get people to start thinking about, now that they have sequencing machines that are being brought into their institution and they're having all the infrastructure built, how can they make good use of it? What are the considerations they should put in place when setting up processes, SOPs, and what are some of the frameworks and guidelines that they should be aware of and policies, and also just some tools for them to start thinking about how do they translate that information and pass that on to people that make decisions. So that's a picture with at the EPHI. In fact, we have Dr. Abebe, who was our host in Addis Ababa, and Kirsty, who was actually also part of this team. In fact, we have quite a number of people that were there, Francis as well. So it was a very successful workshop. So it's a first in a series of workshops that we would like to build and to improve on, so that we are moving beyond the skills development. We are getting people to take responsibility and leadership in developing capacity in their institutions. We have now packaged all these resources. They are freely available on GitHub. So all the 5 online courses, the virtual courses, the distributed classrooms, the capacity workshop, all that is available. So you're welcome to take a look. And so these are some of the impacts, highlights. Time is up. And we have now developed, so we've provided support or developed toolkits so that people can be able to organize their own training. So this is happening, happening right now in Brazil. George and Leah are in Brazil helping a team to deliver training in Portuguese for some of the for beginners. And we also have a plan to support a group in Colombia to deliver a distributed classroom model, actually a blended in-person and then distributed classroom model sometime next year. So we also have a Cochrane community, so we've used Gather Town to bring people together. As you can see, this was actually, also those that know, this was led by some of the participants on the courses. And so in summary, we have developed all these courses and have all put together all these workshops and online resources and a global network. And so just to re-emphasize that having the dedicated expertise in training, development, and infrastructure enabled us to respond quickly and coordinate development of training through the pandemic, and also using the mixed formats meant that we were able to really reach a global network, regardless of where people were, and hopefully developing the training without borders strategy. And finally, we have seen that people are cascading their knowledge and skills to others, which is really important in building capacity. And finally, we're hoping that we can continue to support the community and together with other communities that other people are developing. So thank you, and this, I just like to acknowledge the big team that have been involved in this work. Okay.